Tourism is often criticised for its negative impacts on the environment, but there are lots of things that the tourism industry can do to increase their environmental sustainability. You've probably seen some of these in your travels. They range from reducing energy and water consumption to recycling, reusing and reducing use of resources. Common initiatives include installing energy-efficient lighting and equipment, using key cards to operate lights and air conditioning, installing water-efficient fittings, choosing sustainable sources of energy, towel reuse programs, sorting waste, planting native species and buying local products. Some of these initiatives require guest participation to work well. Clever design is about making the desired behaviour the easiest and most convenient choice. In some cases, the guest may not even notice. Consider the example of food waste. This is a big problem for hotels, but with clever design, it might not need to be. Our research is helping to shed some light on this issue. Professor Sarah Donchar is here to explain.
Food waste is not only bad for the environment. It also means unnecessary expenses for buying, preparing and disposing of uneaten food. Per meal, it is estimated that 120 grams of food is not eaten. This means that between 6 and 40% of the food served is not eaten. The Sustainable Restaurant Association estimates that reducing food waste could save 20% of costs in restaurants. So, how can we reduce food waste in hotels, restaurants and cafes? A simple solution is reducing the plate size. A study conducted in 52 Finnish hotels proved that reducing the size of the plate by 3 centimeters reduced plate waste by 20%. Another solution is to put a sign on the table encouraging people to go back to the buffet as often as they want. The sign lets them know that it is not embarrassing to go back, and the sign inviting people to return to the buffet to get more again and again and again reduced plate waste by 21%. And the best news is guests are still satisfied. An additional insight from our research at the University of Queensland is that segments of tourists differ in their food waste behaviour. For example, families are found to be the worst culprits. This means that coming up with smart ways of changing the behaviour of families is likely to have the biggest positive environmental impact.
What we learn from this is that with clever design, we can nudge people to behave in a way that causes less environmental harm without negatively impacting on their experiences. Wherever we can, we should. Let's look at some other examples. Lady Elliot Island Eco Resort on the Great Barrier Reef has introduced some clever ways to manage their environmental footprint.
Some of the things we do to reduce the environmental impact, and the guests may not know, is first of all our solar panels. Introduced a abundance of solar panels, reducing as much as we can our diesel consumption, and hopefully by the end of next year we'll have no usage of that, so we're heading the right way. We've actually removed all our propellers from our outboard motors on our vessels to jet propulsion. So we were the first in Australia actually to introduce that, which means we cannot damage the reef because it's only jet stream. When we get our barge in, we've tried to reduce the amount of the barges we get in from every 6 to 8 weeks, now only every 3 to 4 months. So that's less impact again. We're trying to get perhaps more seats occupied in our planes so we can get more people across, which means we have less flights as well. So there's a lot of things that we look at to lessen the impact of the environment. In the old days, we used to dig big trenches, put all the food scraps in there, and then dig it all up in 2 years later. Hopefully it's been broken down and we can use it as rich soil. But now we have a new system called Oscar, which is built in Australia, in the Sunshine Coast, and that actually processes all that rubbish for us, pretty much, the food waste. So it goes all in one big massive cylinder. We add some wood chip and some cardboard, and 12 days later it comes out the other end as pretty much rich soil. Nothing gets dumped into the ocean. All the glass bottles that we create in the bar, for instance, we have a special grinder behind our kitchen area where the guests, they don't even know that or hear that, but every night our bar crew have to actually grind those bottles back into the sand granule form, basically, and we ship it off for recycling. All the aluminium cans we crush, we store it, get shipped off with the barge. All the plastic containers, we try to have less and less. What we do sell instead is some recycled plastic drinking bottles where the guests can purchase for a very small amount, and they can refill their bottles in all our fountains on the island. So again, less impact to the environment.
We've just seen some great examples of managing small numbers of guests in a natural setting. Now we'll look at managing larger numbers at a temporary venue. Events, particularly large ones, bring thousands of people together in one place. Not surprisingly, this can have a negative impact on the environment. But with careful planning and clever design, event managers can reduce these impacts. Dr. Judith Mair shares some information.
Woodford Folk Festival is an annual festival that lasts 6 days and nights. The festival attracts around 120,000 visitors, and most camp on site. The festival takes place on a 500-acre parkland site that is owned and managed by the Queensland Folk Federation. The festival is run in line with the 5 objectives of the Woodford Environmental Statement. Let's look at each of these in detail. 1. Enhancing the environment. The festival encourages attendees to take part in tree planting sessions. Over 100,000 native trees have been planted since 1997. This creates wildlife corridors, improves soil quality, prevents erosion, and creates shade for both animals and visitors. 2. Minimising negative impacts and providing net gains. The festival collects all recyclable waste materials on site. It strongly encourages all contractors to use recyclable or biodegradable materials, and shower wastewater is used to irrigate the land. The festival also actively encourages attendees to use public transport and ride-sharing schemes. In terms of net gains, many permanent improvements have been made to the site. These include an on-site water treatment plant, an on-site water filtration plant, 55 kilometres of all-weather roads, and major electrical infrastructure, including transformers and power lines. 3. Education. The festival offers environmental presentations, workshops, and seminars. Its website also includes a list of resources for those who want further environmental information. 4. Leading by example. The festival management publicly promotes their initiatives and encourages individuals and community groups to become more environmentally responsible. 5. Market leadership. The Woodford Folk Festival has won several awards, including the International A Greener Festival Award. They also use their position as a leader in sustainability to lobby government agencies for long-term change. Why is the Woodford Folk Festival so dedicated to environmental initiatives?
It's made us fairly good problem solvers. When we've come up with problems, we know that money isn't always the answer to solve them. We know that innovation, we know that putting enthusiastic, passionate people around the organisation and helping with that problem solving is the key to the future. Resources are always challenging. With the wastewater treatment plant, we knew we had to just keep working till we could find the right technology rather than putting something in years earlier that wasn't the right technology. We want to have, when we're talking about renewable power on the site, we want to try and solve that at a festival level, so at the level that we're talking about for a gathering of over 20,000 people. And what is that solution? Is it a hydroelectric plant? Is it a combination of hydro and wind and solar? What is it?
In sum, there are a number of ways we can design for sustainability. The best bit is that in most cases it doesn't detract from the tourist experience. So if you're struggling to manage negative environmental impacts, it might be worth considering whether a few simple design tweaks could solve your problems.